The crimson alert strobed through the UES Starweaver's bridge as Commander Jasmine Rodriguez watched the pursuing Drachnid warships through the tactical display. Their crystalline hulls glinted like frozen stars against the void, beautiful and deadly. Her ship's quantum signature masking was holding, but for how long? "Status report," she ordered, keeping her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her stomach. Lieutenant Patel's fingers danced across his console. 3 Drachnid cruisers maintaining pursuit, Commander. They're still broadcasting demands for our surrender. Our masking field is at 82% efficiency and holding. Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. The Drachnids still thought they were chasing a simple research vessel. If they knew what the Starweaver really was, they'd have sent their entire fleet. The bridge doors whispered open as Dr. Nadira Hassan rushed in, her usually immaculate lab coat showing signs of hasty dressing. "Commander, we need to talk. The quantum core's containment field is showing microscopic fluctuations. Nothing dangerous yet, but exactly what the Drachnid sensors are looking for," Rodriguez finished. "How long until they detect it?" 3 hours, maybe 4 if we're lucky. Dr. Hassan's dark eyes reflected the emergency lighting. "We need to find somewhere to hide and stabilize the field." Rodriguez studied the star chart, focusing on the sector ahead. Most of it was empty space, except for the Thorn Belt, she murmured, a dense asteroid field that had claimed countless ships over the centuries. The Drachnids would think twice before following them in there. "Commander, you can't be serious," Lieutenant Patel protested. "The gravitational distortions alone would tear most ships apart." "Most ships," Rodriguez agreed. "But the Starweaver isn't most ships, is she?" She turned to her navigation officer. "Lieutenant Chen, plot us a course through the Thorn Belt." "Dr. Hassan, I need options for stabilizing that containment field." The quantum core housed in the Starweaver's heart wasn't just new technology. It was a paradigm shift. The ability to manipulate quantum fields at a macroscopic level would change everything. Propulsion, weapons, communications. The Drachnid Empire had spent decades trying to develop it. Humanity had succeeded in just 8 years. "Incoming transmission from the lead Drachnid vessel," Patel announced. "Put it through," Rodriguez ordered, straightening in her chair. The holographic display shimmered to life, revealing the imposing figure of Fleet Marshal Vorn. Like all Drachnids, his crystalline exoskeleton caught and reflected light in mesmerizing patterns. But Rodriguez knew the beauty was deceptive. Those same crystals could channel enough energy to slice through battleship armor. "Unknown vessel," Vorn's translated voice resonated with artificial precision. "Our scans indicate you are experiencing drive system instabilities. Accept our assistance, or we will be forced to disable your ship for your own safety." Rodriguez had to admire the pretense. The Drachnids were nothing if not methodical in maintaining their image as benevolent protectors of lesser species. "This is the research vessel Galileo," she responded, using their cover identity. "We appreciate your concern, Fleet Marshal, but we have the situation under control." Perhaps Vorn's crystalline features shifted in what might have been amusement. "But our sensors detect quantum field fluctuations consistent with prohibited technology. For the safety of this sector, we must insist on conducting an inspection." The Starweaver shuddered as the first ranging shots from the Drachnid ships passed nearby. Warning shots, carefully calculated to miss, but demonstrate their superior position. "Dr. Hassan," Rodriguez subvocalized through her neural link, "how close to the Thorn Belt's outer boundary do we need to be for Plan Sigma?" "Within 50,000 kilometers," came the whispered reply. "But Commander, we've never tested it under these conditions." "No time like the present." Rodriguez returned her attention to Vorn's waiting image. "Fleet Marshal, we are experiencing some technical difficulties. Request permission to hold position while we conduct repairs." It was a gambit, playing to the Drachnids' superiority complex. Let them think their prey was trapped and desperate. A wise decision. Vorn approved. "Maintain your position. We will dispatch boarding teams to assist you." The transmission cut off, and Rodriguez immediately began issuing orders. "All hands, this is the commander. Prepare for quantum field manipulation. Dr. Hassan, begin power diversion to the core. Lieutenant Chen, on my mark. Execute attack pattern Sigma." The Drachnid ships moved closer, their crystalline hulls now clearly visible without magnification. They were arranging themselves in a standard containment pattern, preparing to launch boarding shuttles. They never saw it coming. "Mark," Rodriguez commanded. The Starweaver's quantum core pulsed, and reality rippled. To the Drachnid sensors, it would appear as if the human ship had suffered a catastrophic drive failure. In truth, they had just witnessed humanity's greatest technological leap, controlled quantum field manipulation at a macroscopic scale. The Starweaver seemed to fragment into dozens of identical images, each one perfectly real to sensors. As the Drachnid's targeting systems tried to compensate, Rodriguez gave her next order. "Full power to engines. Take us into the belt." Her ship accelerated toward the Thorn Belt, leaving behind a very confused and increasingly angry Drachnid fleet. But Rodriguez knew they had only bought themselves time. The real challenge was just beginning. The Thorn Belt stretched before the Starweaver like a labyrinth of stone and shadow. Massive asteroids tumbled through space, their surfaces scarred by countless collisions. Between them, clouds of microscopic debris sparkled like deadly diamond dust. Quantum field readings stabilizing. Dr. Hassan reported, her attention fixed on the core's monitoring station. "The belt's natural interference is actually helping mask our signature. But these gravitational eddies..." She shook her head. "One wrong move and we'll be torn apart." Commander Rodriguez watched as Lieutenant Chen guided their ship through the chaos with practiced precision. The young navigator's hands moved across his controls like a musician playing a complex symphony. "Multiple contacts," Lieutenant Patil announced suddenly. "The Drachnids are entering the belt. 3 ships, spreading out in a search pattern." "Persistent, aren't they?" Rodriguez muttered. She studied the tactical display, noting how the Drachnid ships struggled against the belt's gravitational distortions. Their crystalline technology was impressive, but it had limitations. "What's the status of the quantum core?" Dr. Hassan consulted her readings. "Stable enough for now, but we need to find somewhere to make proper adjustments. These temporary fixes won't hold forever." As if in response to her words, a massive gravitational wave rolled through the belt. The Starweaver shuddered as Chen fought to keep them steady. Through the main viewport, Rodriguez watched an asteroid the size of a small moon slowly split in two, its halves grinding against each other with silent violence. "Commander," Chen called out, excitement tinging his voice. "I'm detecting an anomaly ahead. Some kind of pocket in the belt. Natural forces should have collapsed it long ago, but something's keeping it stable." Rodriguez leaned forward. "Show me." The tactical display zoomed in on a region where the asteroid seemed to flow around in empty space, like water around an invisible stone. The sensor readings were bizarre. Gravitational forces that should have been tearing the pocket apart were instead maintaining its integrity. "It's artificial," Dr. Hassan breathed, studying the data. "Someone's using advanced field manipulation to maintain that pocket." "Commander, the technology. It's similar to our quantum core principles, but far more refined." A decision point. The pocket could be a sanctuary or a trap. Behind them, the Drachnid ships were drawing closer, their superior sensors gradually adapting to the belt's interference. "Take us in," Rodriguez ordered. "But maintain combat readiness. Whoever built that pocket might not appreciate visitors." As the Starweaver approached the anomaly, the ship's sensors began detecting more details. The pocket was larger than initial readings suggested, large enough to hide a small fleet. More importantly, it contained an atmosphere. Someone had created a bubble of habitable space inside the Thorn Belt. "Energy spike," Patil warned. "Something's scanning us." Before Rodriguez could respond, a new voice filled the bridge. Smooth, artificial, yet somehow organic. Unauthorized vessel detected. Your quantum field signature is interesting. Please identify yourself. Rodriguez exchanged glances with her officers. The voice hadn't come through their communication system. It had simply appeared, as if the speaker was standing among them. "This is Commander Jasmine Rodriguez of the UES Starweaver," she responded carefully. "We seek temporary sanctuary from pursuit." A pause, then. "Ah, yes, the Drachnid vessels. Their persistence is predictable. You have something they want very badly, don't you, Commander?" "We have something they shouldn't have," Rodriguez corrected. "And I'm not inclined to discuss it with an unknown entity." A sound like crystalline laughter filled the bridge. "Cautious. Good. We are the Helix Collective, Commander. And we've been waiting a very long time for someone to achieve what you have." The pocket's entrance appeared before them, a shimmer in space that parted like a curtain, revealing a vast chamber within. Structures that defied conventional geometry floated in the controlled space, their surfaces rippling with patterns of light that seemed to follow rules of physics not yet discovered by humanity. "Your pursuers will not find this place," the voice assured them. "But we have much to discuss, Commander Rodriguez, about your quantum core, about the Drachnids, and about a war that has been fought in secret for longer than your species has walked upright." As the Starweaver passed through the entrance, Rodriguez felt the weight of history settling around them. They had come seeking temporary shelter, but had found something far more significant. The question was, would it prove to be salvation or damnation? Inside the Helix Collective's sanctuary, the Starweaver docked alongside structures that challenged human understanding of engineering. The nearest construct resembled a double helix made of light and shadow, its spiral arms pulsing with quantum energy that made the ship's sensors fluctuate wildly. A delegation from the collective awaited them in what Rodriguez could only describe as a meeting chamber, though its walls seemed to breathe with living mathematics. The beings themselves defied easy description, forms of pure energy contained within crystalline shells that were clearly artificial, yet moved with organic grace. "We call ourselves architects," the entity that had spoken to them earlier explained. Its form shimmered between blue and gold as it communicated. "We were among the first species to understand quantum manipulation. The Drachnids were our students, once." Dr. Hassan stood transfixed by a floating display of quantum equations. "These formulas, they're exactly what we've been working toward, but you've taken the principles so much further. And therein lies the problem." Another architect, this one pulsing with emerald light, interjected. "The Drachnids learned our basic principles but rejected our warnings about responsibility. They seek to weaponize quantum manipulation on a scale that would tear reality itself." Rodriguez felt a chill. "And our core? How does it fit into this?" "Your achievement is unique," the first architect explained. "You developed quantum manipulation independently, following a different path than we did. The Drachnids fear this because they cannot control what they do not understand." Lieutenant Patel's console suddenly flashed with alerts. "Commander, the Drachnid ships are systematically destroying the Belt's asteroids. They're trying to flush us out." The Emerald Architect's form flickered with concern. "They grow desperate. Even they would not normally risk such destruction." Its light patterns shifted to a deep crimson. "They must have brought a world breaker." "A what?" Rodriguez demanded. "A quantum weapon of our original design," the first architect admitted, its tone heavy with regret. "One they should never have been able to build. If they have one here." The chamber shuddered as a massive shockwave passed through the belt. On Patel's display, an entire section of asteroids simply ceased to exist, converted to pure energy by some unimaginable force. "They're not trying to flush us out," Dr. Hassan realized, her face pale. "They're going to destroy the entire belt to make sure we don't escape. The quantum core, they're willing to risk everything to get it." The architects conferred in rapid pulses of light, We cannot allow the Drachnids to obtain both your core and a world breaker, the first one declared. The combination would give them the power to rewrite the laws of physics within entire star systems. Rodriguez studied the tactical displays, her mind racing. Then we work together. Your knowledge, our innovation. The Drachnids think they're hunting us. Let's show them what it means to be the prey. The Emerald Architect's form brightened with what might have been approval. You understand. The Drachnids believe themselves to be apex predators, but they have forgotten that evolution favors adaptation over raw power. Dr. Hassan, Rodriguez turned to her scientist. How quickly can you integrate what we've learned here into our core systems? Hassan's eyes sparkled with excitement. With the architect's help. Hours instead of months. But Commander, what you're suggesting is exactly what the Drachnids won't expect, Rodriguez finished. They think they're dealing with primitive humans who stumbled onto quantum technology. Time to show them how wrong they are. The chamber rumbled again as another section of the belt vanished. The world breaker was getting closer. But as Rodriguez watched her crew work alongside the architects, she saw not fear but determination. Humans and energy beings, united by a common purpose, each bringing their unique perspectives to the challenge. The first architect approached her, its crystalline, shell reconfiguring to approximate a more humanoid form. Your species continues to surprise us, Commander Rodriguez. When we first detected your quantum experiments, we feared you would follow the Drachnid's path. Instead, you show wisdom we thought lost to time. We've learned from our mistakes, Rodriguez replied. Sometimes the hard way. But that's what makes us human. We adapt, we innovate, and we never stop trying to be better. As if to punctuate her words, Dr. Hassan called out triumphantly. Integration complete. Commander, you need to see this. We've managed to. Another blast rocked the sanctuary. This time, warning signals flashed throughout the chamber. The world breaker was no longer simply destroying asteroids. It was beginning to tear apart the quantum fields holding the pocket dimension together. The time for planning was over. The real test of this newfound alliance was about to begin. The sanctuary's quantum fields flickered as the world breaker's energy pulses grew stronger. Through the Starweaver's enhanced sensors, Rodriguez watched the massive Drachnid weapon emerge from the debris cloud. A crystalline construct larger than her entire ship, its surface crackling with barely contained power. All modifications complete, Dr. Hassan announced, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. The core is operating at 300% efficiency. The architect's quantum harmonics are fully integrated. The Emerald Architect's form pulsed rapidly. The world breaker will breach our sanctuary in approximately 7 minutes. Once our containment fails, the gravitational forces will crush everything within. Then we don't let it come to that, Rodriguez declared. Lieutenant Chen, battle stations. Dr. Hassan, power up the modified core. It's time to show the Drachnids what happens when you underestimate humanity. The Starweaver hummed with new energy as systems that had never been meant to work together synchronized perfectly. Human ingenuity combined with architect wisdom created something entirely new, a hybrid technology that defied conventional understanding. Fleet Marshal Vorn's image appeared in the chamber, his crystalline features twisted with triumph. Surrender now, and we may spare your lives. The world breaker cannot be stopped. Your primitive understanding of quantum mechanics is nothing compared to. Rodriguez cut the transmission with a gesture. Lieutenant Patel, initiate Quantum Protocol Omega. Let's put our theory to the test. The Starweaver's modified core pulsed, sending waves of precisely calculated quantum interference patterns into space. The architect's own systems amplified the effect, creating a cascading field of reality-bending energy. Drachnid ships are responding, Patel reported. They're firing the world breaker. Time seemed to slow as the weapon released its devastating beam. But instead of destroying everything in its path, the energy met the Starweaver's quantum field, and something extraordinary happened. The beam bent, twisted, and folded back on itself, caught in a web of human-designed quantum mathematics. Impossible, Vorn's voice crackled through their systems. "No primitive species cold." "That's your problem, Marshall," Rodriguez interrupted. "You think technology alone equals advancement. You never stop to consider that sometimes the greatest innovations come from seeing things differently." The Starweaver surged forward, riding waves of quantum probability like a surfer on an ocean. Each blast from the Worldbreaker was caught, redirected, and harmlessly dispersed. The Drachnid weapon, for all its power, couldn't adapt to an approach its creators had never imagined. "Now, Dr. Hassan," Rodriguez commanded. The quantum core pulsed one final time, releasing a carefully calibrated wave that interfaced perfectly with the architect's sanctuary field. Reality rippled, and suddenly the Drachnid ships found themselves trapped in a pocket of space where their crystalline technology couldn't function. A quantum nullification field, the first architect observed with something like pride, created by combining our understanding of field manipulation with human creativity. Elegant. Through the viewport, Rodriguez watched as the mighty Worldbreaker hung powerless in space, its crystalline surface dark and lifeless. The other Drachnid ships drifted helplessly, their advanced technology rendered useless by an inferior species. "Marshal Vorn," Rodriguez opened a channel to the lid ship. "I suggest you reconsider your position on primitive species. We'll be happy to escort you out of the belt once you agree to some new terms about quantum technology and its responsible use." The silence that followed spoke volumes. Finally, Vorn's voice returned, heavy with resignation. Perhaps we have something to learn from humanity after all." As the crisis ended and the cleanup began, Rodriguez stood with the architects, watching the Drachnid ships being towed to safety. "Thank you for trusting us," she said to the assembled energy beings. "No, Commander," the Emerald Architect responded. "Thank you for showing us that there is always more to learn, even for those who think they know everything. Humanity's greatest strength isn't your technology. It's your ability to see possibilities where others see only obstacles." The Starweaver's quantum core hummed contentedly, a symbol of what could be achieved when innovation and wisdom work together. As Rodriguez looked out at the stars beyond the belt, she knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had proved itself ready for a larger role in the galaxy, not through conquest or superior firepower, but through the very qualities that made them human: creativity, adaptability, and the courage to try what others thought impossible. The Thorn Belt would become a symbol of this new era, not as a barrier between species, but as the birthplace of an alliance that would change the galaxy forever.